The late 80s delivered some amazing movies, and one of them was the classic Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, an adventure movie that's right up there with The Goonies and Indiana Jones with its sense of scale and adventure. Obsidian Entertainment, known for titles like Fallout New Vegas, Knights of the Old Republic 2, and the recent Switch edition Pentiment, which is an essential purchase by the way, have proven time and time again that they can weave a narrative in an epic adventure. So the news that Microsoft was porting Grounded was met with anticipation and excitement. What's it like? Let's go back to the 90s, bring some ant repellent, and start planning your base build as we review Grounded for the Nintendo Switch. Now before it shrinks and becomes unclickable, would you mind hitting that like and subscribe button? It's the best way that content creators like me get found on YouTube, and I can't thank you enough for doing so. Grounded is a survival/crafting game in the vein of Ark Survival Evolved, and tells the story of a group of children who go missing in a town. You are one of those kids, and it turns out that you've been shrunk to the size of an ant with no recollection of how you got there or why. You can choose from one of 4 characters which all play the same but offer different dialogue in the game. These characters do tend to play it a bit safe and stick to the nerd, jock, rebel and shy breakfast club stereotypes, and each character will have certain banter that can reveal a little bit about the game world, but most of it boils down to the player's interpretation of their personalities. Regardless of who you choose, the game will play out the same way, and you will spend a lot of your time following a main quest, uncovering the secrets of why you were shrunk and who's behind it. The story is both interesting and well paced, and in the interest of keeping this review spoiler free, I won't delve deeper into the narrative, and I will leave some minor gameplay elements out of this review so you can discover them yourselves. The gameplay revolves around surviving in a harsh environment of the backyard. To start, you'll simply scrounge for food and water, before mastering tools or hunting down specific items for recipes, and then graduate to building a base to try and keep yourself safe from the various critters that mean you harm. You'll eventually unlock new building plans and move from having a flimsy grass base to a fully fledged stone castle. To unlock these recipes, you need what's called raw science, which can be earned by completing mini objectives such as defeating X amount of enemies, building a matching set of armor, as well as discovering orbs of raw science out in the wild. You'll also unlock brain power, which acts as your level to receive new recipes, which are mainly earned by analyzing loot you pick up from enemies. And while all this may sound tedious on paper, there was something really exciting about discovering a new item or piece of loot, finding a field lab, and then analyzing it to be able to unlock new crafting items revolving around that particular piece of loot. Base building is similarly exciting, and you can build storage spots for blades of grass and stems which act as plants and supports for your building structures. It's also handy that you can build and craft from these storage buildings in the immediate area, saving you from shuffling through chests and manually hauling items to the build site. It's these little touches that remove the tedium and frustrations of building games, and it makes the core elements of gameplay fun instead of frustrating. Looting and inventory systems are also well implemented, with a single button press harvesting all the resources from fallen enemies. If base building isn't your style, you can fight and explore, which, while being a base builder myself usually in games, I found exploration a far more rewarding experience in this case. There's a sense of childlike wonder that I had while exploring the game's many biomes. I was genuinely excited and entertained when fighting items discarded in the backyard, like soda cans and other assorted knickknacks. I also enjoyed some nice cameo appearances too, like stumbling upon the Battletoads Zitz figurine firmly lodged waist deep in the mud. Combat handles well, and most times you'll resort to using melee attacks to clobber a creature. They have different stats and abilities like an ant club that can stun opponents, which comes in handy early on in the game. And how you play will also go towards unlocking special mutations, which might be a barbarian perk that heals you while you frantically swing a club, and even one dubbed Ant Killer, which unsurprisingly is unlocked by killing ants. The game will take you around 25 hours to complete the story missions, but like most survival games, there's actually hundreds of hours of discovery and gameplay for the patient player. I spent my first 10 hours or so in only 2 of the many biomes without even base building, simply gathering resources to build armor and exploring. It's all just a really well done adventure. Now, graphically, Grounded does have that upscale blur that we're now used to seeing on the more graphic intensive ported games. It does an amazing job of world building with clever map design, multiple parts, and secrets to find. There's a lot of nice little touches like how sunlight penetrates the grass, creating a warm atmosphere, as well as building tension in a spider-filled hedge where the sun fails to reach due to the dense foliage. Creatures are well designed and range from being cute to downright menacing, and the spiders in particular will make you think twice about tangling with them. Now, arachnophobics need not worry though, as there are accessibilities to sort that out too, but a bit more on that later. Performance-wise, there were minor hitches and frame rate drops, and they don't really detract from the experience. These are mainly noticeable in the first 15 seconds of loading in, and when fighting excessive numbers of creatures like raiding an anthill, for example. Another bugbear is the loading time when initially jumping in, but much like No Man's Sky, once you're in the game there are no loading screens as you traverse the expansive open world of Grounded. This port was also handled by Double 11 Studios who, despite the backlash on the pricing which was out of their control, did an amazing job of bringing Red Dead Redemption to the Nintendo Switch. There is also multiplayer options which allow you to join or host a friend's game and play cooperative online, as well as the ability to cross-play with friends on Xbox if you link your Microsoft account. Unfortunately, I was unable to test the multiplayer out, not because of a fault in the game, but because of a fault in my internet, but I will update this review once I get more time to test both standard multiplayer and cross-play functionality. For my vision-impaired backyard adventurers, I'm pleased to say that there's a plethora of accessibility options, like increasing the HUD size, colorblind mode, text-to-speech, text sizing options, and the ability to have highlighted items. There's also arachnophobia options too, and since I have a friend who is unable to play many games that feature large spiders like Skyrim for example, this is a very thoughtful addition to the game. This mode has several tiers of options ranging from removing legs to making them a floating torso, to then eventually making them a nondescript floating cloud with eyes. All in all, Grounded is yet another fantastic open world game that is sure to immerse players in. To me, Grounded is on par with No Man's Sky or Ark Survival Evolved in terms of port quality and performance. Despite having that upscale blur, Grounded still looks amazing and does a fantastic job of world building through an interesting mystery narrative and exciting gameplay elements. While it's not without its issues when it comes to the initial loading time and minor performance issues, it's a solid port that's an essential purchase for fans of the survival genre and even gamers who are just looking for that next epic adventure. Much like the core themes of the game, both Obsidian and Double 11 Studios have managed to shrink down Grounded into Nintendo gamers' hands. So, what's it like? Grounded is like Ark Survival Evolved crossed with Minecraft. I award it an 84 out of 100. Thanks so much for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed it. The best way you can support me is to like and subscribe and continue watching my content if you enjoy it. But if you do want to go that bit extra, you can buy me a coffee or join our Patreon, which shows you behind the scenes of this channel. Thanks again.